I'm Tim James. I only regret that I followed Dr. Underwood in this moment because I'd like to reflect a little bit on that. Those words, is anyone recording that? You can speak to me afterwards. I really would like to listen to that. Thank you all. Thank you, fellow students, class of 2012, faculty, and our staff, everyone here, especially family and friends. Thanks for being part of our story. It's really special to be here and seeing everyone. Thank you mostly for granting us the opportunity to discover our potential, to grow into this group of altruistic, accountable, compassionate, caring, excellent, professionally dutiful, socially responsible people of integrity. APTA core values, our Physical Therapy Association. That's what I see, but I see more. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you all. I tell you, in preparing my comments for today, I did a literature review of sorts. And by that I mean I took all the binders from PT school, 30 plus, spread them out around me, and I scoured through each page. Not that I read everything, but I scoured through each page. Did any of you know my method of note-taking? It's a little, I don't know, maybe it's artistic. It's but I try to capture, of course, the course content and the things we'll be tested on. That's important. Also, the little surprises, the little life lessons that sometimes our professors throw in there. They've had the floor for the majority of the last 3 years, so it's usually their words that I'm scratching in the margins. And whether it's a quote or a quip or just something really hilarious that I hope to come across when I'm studying, I always try to capture that too. So as I'm here spread out with all my binders, I look at them and I notice that, they have a unique credibility about them because they have side by side this very objective Scantron logic with them, and then also this, freelance, this is what you really did the past 3 years, this is why it mattered. And so I wanted to let the notes kind of speak for themselves. I read through them, let it be what it was, and my notes looked up at me and they were like, Tim, you've got to share 2 things. One, I'll summarize by calling it unconscious incompetence. I'm sorry, we're going to be applauded a lot in the next couple days, but I think it's healthy to acknowledge that when we came here, we had a certain unimpressive baseline that we, to some extent still possess. But I will elaborate on that more in a bit, our unconscious incompetence. The second thing they said, you got to mention this, is I call it the more in the margins. The more in the margin. And that's basically what I described. There's so much more happening here than the transmission of facts. So much more than our Scantron objectivity, and it must be acknowledged. It must be known that through the example, the insight, and the experience of our professors, and the examples we've had from CIs, there's this dailiness of being with them that we just learn the subtleties of what it means to be a professional and a person who inspires others, So I call that the more in the margins. I'll elaborate on both. First, I'll illustrate the first point, unconscious incompetence, with a story. First day of PT school. Barbara Hahn had a lecture up on the 3rd floor, and then we proceeded in our fashion, together. What someone called it, we travel as a pack all the time. We went down to Graves Hall 104, and I remember 2 things. One, there was pizza. It's kind of like, welcome to physical therapy school. It's not scary at all. Have some pizza. I did. Second thing I remember, there was a person in our class, Chris. He found a wheelchair and was attempting tricks. He was doing spins and wheelies. I'm pretty sure he jumped over a little person at one point. I was thoroughly impressed, but in my head I'm thinking, I haven't seen such antics inside the classroom since high school. How did this guy make it in? We're just calling him that. So the next thing I know, he's saying, daring me to do wheelies. And my immediate thought was, absolutely not. No way. So I'm in the wheelie chair. Get my hands ready. And the next thing I know, the next moment, first push flat on my back. And those moments where the loud noise attracts everyone's attention. They fall silent. Fortunately, our whole faculty, most were there for the meet and greet purpose. So this is your introduction to this guy. And then suddenly, how did this guy make it in? My legs got stuck in the footrest and I was harnessed in this movable position for quite some time.
I never heard this story.
This is where we came. I mean, I hate to bring you all down with me, but that was that was this kind of unimpressive benchmark we set for ourselves. Doubtless, we've had so much development, and our growth has been facilitated by many. But you'll come upon that unconscious incompetence, I'm sure, in the future, not to be afraid. We've been there before. The second point, I think I need to illustrate by telling you just what was in the margins. The more in the margins part. What was it that we kind of picked up so subtly from our leaders, from our professors? So for that, I'll share some of the quotes that I really enjoyed. Some more words of wisdom and that philosophical fuel that I needed to kind of stay engaged on that particular day. Others were just funny. So the first is from Dr. Kiesel. First year of PT school. I'm sure we were asking way too many questions about the upcoming exam. He says, try to get your head out of the textbooks and the test taking and start to think about why you're really here. It gets better. It gets better every semester. I wrote that down right away. I was looking around like, no one else is writing this. So I never actually get to have the opportunity to reshare these, back to these people. Dr. Underwood was second. I like this one. He I think was talking about the potential for bias in experimental designs, and he said, remember, magicians can bias coin flipping experiments. And that's all he said. That's what it was. Terry Chambliss on this next one. She was explaining patient handling techniques, how to put people at ease and feel confident with your hands. She said, if it feels awkward for you, then it definitely feels awkward for the patient. And then she said, don't expect anything good to happen. I just love it. These are the things. My final one, Barbara Hahn, who is my advisor, I'll quote her finally. She picked me up. I was a free agent on the advisory board. No. She was speaking about the public health issues that different in our day than in hers. And she said, in our day we were looking at issues like tetanus shots after dinosaur bites. Of course, it's not true what you said. I just really appreciate and hold these things really close, because for me, that's what this has been about. It's been a lot of academic preparation, but a lot of very special mystery in the margins kind of things happening. So, to conclude, I'll share a brief story. 2 days ago, I was in Ferdinand, which is where I live, and I was at the grocery store, and I ran into my preschool teacher when I was 4, Miss Linda. And I don't remember what we said. We just spoke for a little while and during the checkout. And I thought it was special, though. As I left, I thought, well, it's kind of like a nice full circle experience to meet a preschool teacher. She remembered my name. It was 20 years ago, but I went to preschool 3 years. I checked that with my mother. I actually did go to preschool 3 years. Definitely not on the pace to get my DPT by 24. But as I left and I walked home, bag in hand, I just had an opportunity to kind of step back and take a long view. Like 20 years, wow, when I was 4, and 5, and 6. There have been so many people. This has undoubtedly been a process of many special people, many special places and experiences. So thank you all individually. I wish we could all talk. For the role that you've played, influencing those who have influenced me. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be part of this class.